Welcome to online learning platform of Department of Civil Engineering. So in this lecture video, you will be seeing calibration of augie and broad crested weir. So the experiment is prescribed under Fluid Mechanics and Hydraulics Machines Lab for fourth semester in 2018 scheme. So a weir is typically a concrete or a masonry structure which is constructed across any open channel, usually a river, and is used to change its water flow characteristics. So weir is usually an obstruction to the flow of water, and they are commonly been used to measure the volumetric rate of water flow, to prevent flooding, and to make rivers navigable. So here several types of weirs are designed for applications in natural channels and laboratory flumes. So weirs can be classified as broad crested weir, short crested weir, or sharp crested weir. So for this typical setup, a coefficient of discharge has to be determined experimentally for each weir to account for the errors in estimating the flow rate that is due to these assumptions. So based on the shape, the weirs are mainly classified into three: rectangular weir, triangular weir, and trapezoidal weir. Based on the shape of the crest, weirs are classified into sharp crested weir, broad crested weir, narrow crested weir, and augie shaped weir. Based on the effect of sides of the emerging nape, weir with end contraction and weir without end contraction. So the practical application of this augie and broad crested weirs is weirs are commonly used to measure or to regulate flow in river streams, irrigation channels. And installing a weir in any open channel system will cause a critical depth to form over the weir. Since there is a unique relationship between the critical depth and discharge, a weir can be designed as a flow measuring device. So weirs are also used to raise the water level in a channel to divert the flow to irrigation systems that are usually located at higher elevations. So in the experimental method, the coefficient of discharge is determining by measuring height of the water surface above the notch base and the corresponding flow rate. So by looking at the values, the general features of the flow can be determined, and the flow of through direct observation also the general features of the flow can be easily determined. So to find the discharge over a rectangular weir, an elementary strip is being considered, and then the theoretical discharge and the actual discharge is being computed. So augie shaped weirs are usually provided for spillway of a storage dam, and the crest of the augie weir slightly rises and falls into a parabolic form. Whereas a broad crested weir, these are constructed only in rectangular shape and are suitable for larger flows. So with this concept, you can go to the experimental setup and then understand how the experiment is being conducted in the lab. Thank you.
Welcome one and all to the online learning platform at Department of Civil Engineering, BMS Institute of Technology and Management. I'm Dr. Rajesh Gopinath and along with me is Mr. Vinod BR. We welcome you to the Fluid Mechanics Lab. In today's session, we shall be explaining to you the experimentation with respect to calibration of broad crested weir. Augie weir. And Venturi flume. The idea of showing you all the three is to make you understand that the experimental setup remains same. The conduction remains same. Okay. So with this single session, you will be able to understand how to carry out experiment with broad crested weir, which has already been attached in the open channel. Okay. How to conduct the same experiment with augie weir or a venturi flume. Okay. With this basic information, Now let me explain to you the different parts of this experimental setup. All right, the first thing that you're looking at is your sump, which houses the water which is required for the conduction of this experiment. So if you see closer, you can see that the sump actually contains water. Okay, you can see that there is a pipe which is fitted with a strainer. And this pipe is leading to a pump and motor. You can see a blue pipe. Okay. So this black pipe will take the water from the sump with the aid of the motor and pump, and then this water is then transported through this white pipe into the open channel. So in this open channel, you can see a baffle. The idea of having a baffle is to reduce the turbulence of the water flow and make it streamlined or laminar. Further, in this open channel, you can see the broad-crested weir. In this setup, we have attached broad-crested weir for you, which has been kept in the open channel. If it's an Ogee weir, then we need to remove this and we need to keep the Ogee weir in this manner. So imagine, now you have to imagine that we have removed this, and in place of this, this has been attached. Similarly, when it comes to Venturi flume, we need to remove this and attach the Venturi flume in this place. Okay. Now, what are the other basic parts of this experimental setup? You have a point gauge. Why is it called a point gauge? Because of this tip. Okay, and this is attached to a graded scale, which enables us to understand the rise in water level. So when you're looking at this open channel, we are trying to basically simulate conditions of a river. We are all aware that, and you have also learned in the first session which was taken on this experiment, the theoretical concepts about weirs. So basically, weirs are concrete structures which are meant to calculate the discharge. Okay. Now with this basic understanding, we conclude this. Now let us move on to the remaining parts of the video of the setup. The water which would be in this channel would eventually decamp into a collecting tank. So you're looking at a collecting tank. This collecting tank is standing over the sump itself, and you can see a piezometer which will help us to determine the rise in water level. There is also a regulatory valve which can decamp the water into the sump. Okay, so now that you have understood the various parts of this experimental setup, in the next session, we will be taking you through actually how to carry out this experiment. Thank you. Welcome back to the online learning platform at Civil Engineering Department, BMS Institute of Technology. So far, we have all understood the theoretical concepts of weirs. We have also understood its significance in real-time scenarios. Further, we had explained to you the basic setup of this experiment. In this video, we will be explaining to you how the experiment has to be conducted. For the convenience of better understanding, in this video, we shall not be carrying out the actual operation, because when you do that, then there will be a lot of sound generated and our explanation cannot be heard. So now we will imagine how this experiment has to be carried out. All right. So the first step what we need to do is we need to make sure that the sump contains water. The next thing we need to make sure that since we are using a centrifugal pump, we need to ensure that the pump has been primed. With these two basic requirements satisfied, let us start the experiment. In the first step, you need to switch on the green button. By switching on this green button, basically what happens is water will be sucked or displaced due to the centrifugal pump from the sump. So from the sump, water will get transported into the open channel via the white pipe. Okay, here we need to remember that there is a gate valve. This is meant to regulate the flow of water. Either you can do it in an increasing trend or a decreasing trend. Alright, so for the varying number of turns, the flow rate also would vary. Okay, so let us say when we are starting the experiment, we start on an increasing note. So we open the gate valve for, let us say, 1 turn. For 1 turn, this experiment is supposedly working. So what will happen? For this 1 turn, the water will be entering through this pipe and then it enters the open channel. When it enters the open channel, please note the water will be turbulent. It would have lot of energy associated. Okay, so hence in order to dissipate it, in order to make the flow streamlined, laminar, uniform, we have a baffle in place. This baffle acts as an obstruction and will dissipate all the energy and make the water calm. So then what would happen? The water will enter the channel, and when the water enters the channel now, it would be more calm and uniform. With these properties, what is going to happen? Water will approach the channel and reach the weir. For this instance, you are looking at a broadcasted weir. It also may be a Ogee weir, or it also may be a Venturi flume. Okay, what is that we are supposed to do when the water approaches the broadcasted weir, Ogee weir or Venturi flume? The first thing you need to ensure is that the water is moving slowly and calmly along this open channel. Okay, depending on what device you have attached. Okay, the first thing you need to do is you need to make sure that the point gauge is touching the weir. Okay, so the first step is you need to make sure that the point gauge is touching the broadcasted weir at this edge. Okay, and when it is touching at this edge, you need to make the scale reading at 0, 0. I need to use this knob to make it 0, 0. And I need to use this knob to move the point gauge up and down. Please remember, once you have fixed this, then with the regular conduction of experiment, you are not supposed to touch this knob anymore. You're only supposed to use this knob and lift the point gauge depending on the water level. So if it is a broadcasted weir, you're supposed to keep it at this critical junction. Okay, this is basically the height at the topmost height of the weir. Now let us say you're talking about a Ogee weir. If it's a Ogee weir, then let us say I'm keeping the Ogee weir here and you're imagining that Ogee weir has been attached. Then you're supposed to take the reading at this junction. Okay, that is, this is the maximum height which the weir can store water. Now let us say we are talking about the Venturi flume. Then how do you do it? If it is a Venturi flume, then Yes, you have got three sections. You got convergent, divergent, and the throat. So you are supposed to take readings at 2 points. First point being the entry. That is the convergent section. The second reading you must take at the throat. That is at this section. Okay. And when the water level rises for different flow rates, you have to raise the point gauge and take one reading here and one more reading here. So, in simple words, for a broadcasted weir, Augie weir, you are taking point gauge readings only at one point. But in a Venturi flume, you must take the reading twice at the convergent section and at the throat. Please do not forget this. Okay, now what next? Now that you have fitted your point gauge to touch the weir, which is your starting point. Okay, you also made the scale to 0, 0. What is to be done next? You have to basically change the flow rate. Using the gate valve, increase the flow rate. So when you increase the number of turns, obviously water will enter with greater velocity and greater discharge. So same process, the water will enter through white pipe, enter the open channel. When it enters the open channel, it meets the baffle. This baffle will dampen the turbulence, make the flow uniform. The water enters. Now here is what is important for us. Okay. Now when the water has entered here at a different flow rate, obviously the water level will rise. Now when the water level rises, we need to use this knob and lift the point gauge. Okay, let's say the water level is at this height. So then you have to attach it at this height. So when you do that, this reading would have changed. So you need to take note of this reading. That is, the water, when its level has risen, it has displaced. So before this reading was 0, 0, but now if you can observe very carefully, it is roughly showing 3.3. This reading has to be taken in your record. Now what is that we need to do further? For this given flow rate or any number of flow rates, okay, the water from the open channel will be entering into your collecting tank. When it is entering the collecting tank, depending on your regulatory valve, the water will be falling back into sump. But now what you have to do is, you need to close the valve. When you close the valve, water which enters the collecting tank will be collected in this tank itself and does not fall into the sump. Now when the water is collecting here, water level will start rising in the piezometer. So you can see the piezometer here. Here you are supposed to carry out taking readings. How do you do that? There are two ways. One, you can have constant head or constant time. For example, for a given flow rate, that is, let's say for 1 turn of gate valve, 2 turns of gate valve, what you should do is take readings. Say for example, for 10 seconds using a stopwatch, for 10 seconds, how much water level rises, or taking 10 centimeter as a constant height, how much time will it take to rise? Obviously, for different flow rates, the rise in water level or time taken for water level to rise will change. These readings have to be documented. So for every turn of the gate valve, for every flow rate, you must take 2 readings. The first reading is the reading of the point gauge. The second reading is in the piezometer. Please note, more number of iterations will give you better results, as it would reduce the machine error and human error. So I hope that you understood this explanation. The next video will show you the basic working of it. Thank you. Dear students, welcome back to the FM Lab. This is the online learning platform at Department of Civil Engineering, BMS Institute of Technology and Management. I'm Rajesh Gopinath and Mr. Vinod Bihar is along with me. So now in this video, we will take you through with the real conduction or operation of the experimentation of determining the coefficient of discharge for a weir or a venturi flume. In the present setup, we have a broadcasted weir, hence you shall be seeing it for a broadcasted weir. As explained to you before, all you need to do is, you need to remove the broadcasted weir and keep a Ogee weir in its place, or keep a venturi flume in its place. Remaining all the conduction remains same. You were clearly instructed that for a broadcasted weir and Ogee weir, there is one single point of reading, but in a venturi flume, there are 2 points wherein reading has to be taken within the open channel. So let us start the experimentation. Please note, once the instrument is switched on, you will not be able to hear our voice. Okay, so kindly follow the movement of the hands. So press the green button to switch on the motor or the instrument. So you can see how the baffle has assisted in reducing the turbulence of the water. Now we have switched off the instrument because we need to allow the water to remain standard. We need to understand how much of water has been collected. This is the step wherein we will basically we will adjust our knob, a point gauge to 0, 0. So you can see this is the first step, using the knob, using this knob, making it 0, 0. We have adjusted it. So this is the first step. So it is 0, 0. And also whatever water was entering the collecting tank has been decamped into the sump. Now we have to continue with the experimentation by changing the flow rate. As always, please note, you will not be able to hear our voices. So follow the hand movement. So as you can see, what happened here is we took variable readings for constant head, variable time, or variable head, constant time. You can choose 10 centimeters as a constant head or 10 seconds as a constant time. The decision lies upon you, but please note, more the number of readings, more the number of iterations, better the results or better the efficiency of your work would be. So this is the basic conduction of a Weir or a Venturi flume experiment. Kindly remember that there are various points at which you need to take reading, that is with respect to point gauge and with respect to the piezometer in the collecting tank. So we are done with the experiment. Thank you.
Good morning, students. You would have seen the previous video regarding how the calibration of the broad-crested Weir is done. You would have seen the experimental setup and how the readings need to be taken. In this video, you will be seeing how the tabulation and calculations for the calibration of the broad-crested Weir is done and how the CD is calculated. So calibration of broad-crested Weir. For the tabulation, you require the below mentioned observations. 1. The area of the collecting tank. 2. The rise of water level in the collecting tank or measuring tank, which is usually taken as 10 centimeters, hence recorded as 0.1 meter. The length of the broad-crested Weir has to be measured and entered in meters, and the least count of the hook gauge has to be noted in meters. Coming to the formulae required, the actual discharge is calculated as A into H by T, where A is the area of the collecting tank, H is the rise of water in the collecting tank, and T is the time taken for rise of water. And the theoretical discharge for the broad-crested Weir is given by the expression 1.705 into L into H raised to 3 by 2, where L is the length of the Weir and H is the head over the crest of the Weir. And lastly, the coefficient of discharge, CD, is calculated as Q actual divided by Q theoretical. Coming to the tabulation part, the first column, the initial hook gauge reading, is measured at the top of the broad-crested Weir, and we take the measurement such that the top of the crest is taken as 0,0 reading, and so that the head over the crest can be measured as the final hook gauge reading, which is recorded as 1.7 centimeters. So the head over the Weir will be H2 minus H1 divided by 100 to convert it into meters, and we have 0.017. The time taken for water to collect for 10 centimeter rise in the measuring tank is indicated in seconds as 14.88. So these are the readings that will be taken from the experimental setup. Then, using the formulae given in the previous slide, the actual discharge is calculated as 5.04 into 10 raised to minus 4 meter cube per second. And the theoretical discharge is calculated as 5.66 into 10 raised to minus 4 meter cube per second. So coefficient of discharge is Q actual divided by Q theoretical, and we have the value of 0.89. So trials can be given by varying the quantity of discharge, like we start with 1/4 discharge, half discharge, 3/4 discharge, and full discharge, and so we can get 4 different observations, and hence 4 coefficient of discharge can be calculated, and the average coefficient of discharge or CD can be arrived at. So let us look at the calculations. Area of the tank, the collecting tank, was 0.075 meter square. Rise of water was kept as 10 centimeters, so 0.1 meter. The length of the broad-crested Weir was measured as 0.15 meters. Therefore, Q actual A into H divided by T was calculated as 5.04 into 10 raised to minus 4 meter cube per second, and Q theoretical was 1.705 into the length of the weir 0.15 meters into head over the weir 0.017 raised to 3 by 2. So Q theoretical works out as 5.66 into 10 raised to minus 4 meter cube per second, and CD, which is Q actual by Q theoretical, works out to be 0.89. So if we have 4 values for the various discharge openings, then we will be able to calculate 4 different CDs, and the average of all the 4 can be entered as the result. Thank you. Good morning, students. You would have seen the previous video regarding the calibration of Ugi and how the experimental setup is and how the values are taken for head over the notch, head over the weir, and the time for the rise of water in the collecting tank. So now we will look at how the tabulation and calculation for the calibration of Ugi and finding out the CD value for the given Ugi is done. So calibration of Ugi, we need to take some observations. One, area of the collecting tank has to be measured and entered in square meters. The rise of water in the measuring tank is commonly taken as 10 centimeters, hence can be recorded as 0.1 meter. The length of the Ugi has to be measured and entered as capital L value. The least count of the hook gauge has to be measured and has to be entered. The formulae that will be required to calculate the coefficient of discharge of the Ugi are: 1. The actual discharge, which is given by the expression A into H by T, where A is the area of the collecting tank, H is the rise of water in the collecting tank, and T is the time for rise of water. The theoretical discharge is calculated using the expression 2.2 into L into H raised to 3 by 2, where L is the length of the Ugi and H is the head over the crest of the Ugi. And the coefficient of discharge CD is calculated as Q actual divided by Q theoretical. Coming to the tabulation, we have the initial hook gauge reading, which is taken on the top of the crest, and we normally fix it at 0, 0 so that the head over the crest can be measured and entered as the final hook gauge reading. So the initial hook gauge reading H1 is entered as 0, and the final hook gauge reading after the water has passed over the weir, the tip of the hook gauge touches the top surface of water, and the final hook gauge reading is taken as 1.8 centimeters. Therefore, the head over the weir will be calculated as H2 minus H1 divided by 100, so that it is converted into meters. The time taken for 10 centimeter rise of water in the collecting tank is observed, and it is entered as 13.03 seconds. So these are the readings that will be taken from the experimental setup. Using the formulae that were given in the previous slide, the actual discharge is calculated as 5.7 into 10 raised to minus 4 meter cube per second, and the theoretical discharge is calculated as 6.9 into 10 raised to minus 4. and CD will be given by actual discharge divided by theoretical discharge. So we can repeat the trials with various openings of the discharge valve like 1/4, half, 3/4 and full discharge. And so we will get 4 different values of CD and the average CD can be calculated. The calculations are shown here. Area of the collecting tank is 0.075 meters square. The rise of water in the measuring tank is 0.1 meter. The length of the ogive measured is 0.13 meters. In Q actual, we have A into H divided by T, area of collecting tank into 0.1 divided by the time taken, which was taken from the tabular column in the previous slide. And QA is calculated as 5.7 into 10 raised to minus 4. Q theoretical is 2.2 into L into H, where L is the length of the ogive, 0.13 meters, and H is the head over the weir, so 0.018 as from the tabular column, and calculated as 6.9 into 10 raised to minus 4 meter cube per second. The CD value is calculated as Q actual divided by Q theoretical, and in this case it works out to be 0.83. So if you have 4 readings of this, you can take the average of all the 4 and the result will be given as the average coefficient of discharge of the ogive. Thank you. Good morning, students. You would have seen the experimental procedure for the calibration of the Venturi flume. So in this video, we will be looking at the tabulation and calculation to be done to calculate the coefficient of discharge of the Venturi flume. So for the calibration, first we need to collect some observations readings, the area of the collecting tank in square meters, the rise of water in the measuring tank, which we usually take as 10 centimeters, hence recorded as 0.1 meter. We need to measure the breadth at the inlet of the Venturi flume, which we use as BIN, breadth at inlet, to be recorded in meters. The breadth at the throat in the Venturi flume, which is recorded as BT in meters. Coming to the formulae that needs to be used, the actual discharge, Q actual, given as A into H by T, where A is the area of the collecting tank, H is the rise of water in the collecting tank, and T is the time taken for H meter rise of water in the collecting tank. The theoretical discharge for the broad-crested weir is given by the expression A1 into A2 into root of 2G H inlet minus H throat, the whole divided by the square root of A1 square minus A2 square, where H inlet is the head of water at the inlet in meters, HT is the head of water at throat in meters, A1 is the area at inlet, which is given by breadth at inlet into head at inlet in square meters. A2 is area at the throat, given as breadth at throat into head at throat, given in square meters. And last of all, the coefficient of discharge CD, given as Q actual by Q theoretical. Coming to the tabulation, we have the tabulation of head at inlet and head at throat. So the initial hook gauge reading, which is taken at the inlet, fixed at 0. The final hook gauge reading at the top level of water for that particular discharge which is given in centimeters, recorded as 1.8 centimeters. So the head over the inlet in meters is 0.018. Similarly, the head at throat, the initial head is fixed at 0. The final head at throat for a given discharge is recorded as 1.2, and the head over the throat in meters is 0.012. For that particular discharge, the time taken for 10 centimeter rise of water in the collecting tank was recorded as 34.16 seconds. Using the formulae for Q actual and Q theoretical given in the previous slide, Q actual and Q theoretical are calculated, and CD is calculated as Q actual divided by Q theoretical. So looking at the calculations, area of the collecting tank recorded as 0.075 meter square, rise of water 0.1 meter, the breadth at inlet in the venturi flume BIN recorded as 0.13 meter, the head over the inlet for the given recorded discharge as HIN, which is equal to 0.018 meter, the area of the inlet A1, which is BIN into HIN, is calculated as 0.0234 meter square. The breadth at the throat in the venturi flume BT given as 0.07 meters. The head over the throat taken from the tabulation in the previous slide 0.012 meters. Area of throat A2 given as BT into HT works out as 8.4 into 10 raised to minus 4 meter square. The Q actual A into H divided by T works out as 2.19 into 10 raised to minus 4 meter cube per second, and the Q theoretical works out as 3.09 into 10 raised to minus 4 meter cube per second. Hence CD, Q actual by Q theoretical, is 0.71. You can calculate for the CD for various discharges, and the average CD will be recorded as the result. Thank you.